Hi guys, today we will be introducing our new unit, which is all about the Civil War. We, in the last unit, talked about the events leading up to the Civil War, prelude to the Civil War, right? Why the Civil War happened. So it's important to study the last unit so that we have some background knowledge. Some things that we should keep in mind when we move into this next unit are that there are a lot of tension between the North and the South. The Southern states have separated from the Union and have formed the Confederate States of America. This unit will be about the Civil War. This is what you guys will have to know for this unit. Okay, we'll talk about Gettysburg, Sherman's March, bromine, mini ball, which is a type of bullet. Okay, we'll talk about the technology that the North is using in the Civil War. We'll talk about people like Clara Barton, Robert E. Lee, Ulysses S. Grant, the Lost Cause myth. These are all the things we're going to talk about in this unit. What will you guys do? You guys will complete a study guide, which is linked in this post on Google Classroom. We already did life in 2022, so you don't have to worry about that if you turned it in. We'll have a reading worksheet, a quiz over, a notes quiz over our lecture on Gettysburg, which we'll do next week. And then you guys will be assigned a battle in the Civil War, be assigned a partner, and you'll present on that, okay? Keyword, be assigned a partner, right? You're not picking your own. And then we'll take a test. Here's the next couple weeks. We are talking about the Civil War, logistics on Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Friday, we're talking about 9/11. Then next week, we'll start on Gettysburg. You'll take a notes quiz the next day. You'll present your battle presentations next Wednesday. We'll finish up notes on the Civil War on Thursday, watch America, the Story of Us on Friday, review on that next Monday, and then take the test on that next Tuesday. Then we'll start talking about John Wilkes Booth. Here's your quiz averages, okay, depending on what class you're in. If you're fifth hour, I haven't put in your class averages yet because some of you have been gone. So there's a lot of people gone, so I didn't really feel like it was fair to put the average up there yet. So if you were gone in fifth hour, come in and take your quiz. So when we're talking about relationships, I'm going to skip this. When we're talking about learning about someone's values and beliefs, we need to look at, one, what they are saying, okay, things that they are saying or writing or putting out there, and also what people say that are around this person, right? Their friends, their family members, what do they say that these people are like, okay? So when we look at people in history, we should look at the same thing, right? What did the people around them say about them, but also what were they writing about themselves? How were they writing? What were they writing in general, right? So today we're going to look at the US Constitution and the Confederate States Constitution. We're going to kind of compare and contrast, okay? So on that pink sheet, okay, that should be on Google Classroom, there should be a blue paper and a pink paper, okay? One is the Confederate Constitution, one is the US Constitution. We're going to compare and contrast both of those things and see the similarities and differences. Okay, so I had to go grab my copies. So you should have a pink or a blue paper and a pink paper. The pink paper is the Confederate States Constitution, okay? The blue paper is the US Constitution, which should look familiar because you guys took a test over it last year, okay? So looking at that first part, the preamble of the Constitution, what three-letter word appears in the Confederacy's preamble and not in the US Constitution's preamble, okay? What three-letter word appears on the pink paper, okay, in this first part, the preamble, that does not appear in this blue preamble, okay, this blue paper? So I'll let you look there for a second. Pause this video and look. And I'm just going to assume that you looked. So that word that you found, or you should have found, that three-letter word is God, G-O-D, okay? So thinking about that, what does the inclusion of this three-letter word, this including God in the preamble, tell us how the Confederacy viewed itself, okay? You could say they viewed themselves as very religious, right? Their foundation of their government is all about religion, because we know the preamble is kind of like this introduction to who we are in the US Constitution as a country, right? So in the Confederacy's Constitution, this is an intro to who they are as a country. And using that 3-letter word, saying God in that preamble, in that introduction, shows that their religion is very important to them, and they will use that religious language throughout the rest of their documents, right? And how they talk about their country. Why isn't this working? Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So why do you think the US Constitution did not mention that 3-letter word? Well, what we know about the US Constitution is that in the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment talks about freedom of religion. Okay. So you could say we didn't include that in the preamble in our first paragraph because later we talk about the freedom of religion. Now, that's not to say that we don't use God or that 3-letter word in other language about our country, right? We say the pledge every day that says one nation under God, right? But in our Constitution, it states that we have freedom of religion, and it does not say God in our preamble. So, hold on, my goodness. So how many of the Confederate Bill of Rights are identical to the United States Bill of Rights? And I'll let you pause the video and find that. So how many Bill of Rights, the second part on this pink sheet, are the same as the Bill of Rights on this blue sheet? Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and find it. I'm just going to assume that you did that. Okay, so you should have found that there are 8 rights that are similar to the 8 rights on the Confederate Bill of Rights that are similar to those on the US Bill of Rights. Okay, and that is numbers 3 through 10. Okay, are exactly the same. In this next part, it says name 2 differences that the Confederacy included in their Constitution concerning the office of the president. So what on this pink sheet in the Confederate Constitution, what does it say about people that want to hold the office of president? Okay, I'll let you find that. Okay, so you should have found that the president can hold office for 6 years. In the United States, we know one term is 4 years. Okay, so that's different. The second thing that's different is that in the United States, once those 4 years are up, they can run again for re-election. In the Confederacy, that's not possible. Okay, after those 6 years are up, they are not eligible for re-election. Okay. So how many of the United States Constitution's Bill of Rights refer to slavery? Okay, so going back to the top there on this pink paper, these top 2 are the ones that refer to slavery. There's 2 on the Confederate Constitution that refer to slavery, but how many on this blue paper? Okay, it should be pretty easy to find because there's 0 on this blue paper refer to slavery. Okay, so with the Constitution of the Confederacy, if the top 2 the top 2 rights on the Bill of Rights refer to slavery, those must be the most important ones, right? To them. If I'm going grocery shopping and I'm filling out a list, the most important items that I need to get are going to be at the top. Okay, similar to how this is set up, the Confederacy is writing this Constitution. They're putting the most important things to them at the top of this list, which both of those things include slavery. Okay, so slavery is the most important to them. This slideshow really hates me today. I don't understand. Okay. So other than the Constitution of the Confederacy, where else can we see why these states left the Union? We can see it in these declarations of secession. We'll look at these individually in a minute, but I want you to understand that what all these have in common is that they are saying they're leaving the United States because they feel it is their right to own slaves. Okay. So these declarations of secession, these states are leaving the Union and they're writing this letter saying this is why we're leaving. They all are leaving for the same reason, which is the right to own slaves, right? They feel like the United States, with the election of Abraham Lincoln, is going to take that right away from them. So to understand the motivations of the people that wrote these documents, we need to learn more about them, okay, these Confederate leaders. The first one is Alexander H. Stephens. He owned 34 slaves. He is saying that slavery is normal and natural, which we know is not true, okay, but this is what they're telling themselves. The president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, owned more than 100 slaves. He's saying that African slavery is a political, social, moral blessing. He uses the word blessing, which we know that word doesn't even come close, right, to describing. It's the complete opposite. He also uses religion to justify slavery as an institution. We'll see that a lot in the Confederacy. They're very religiously based. And kind of cherry picking different arguments from the Bible to use. We have Confederate General Robert E. Lee, who owned a handful of slaves, but he helped manage his father-in-law's 200 slaves. He is saying that the enslaved people in the South are better off working plantations than being in Africa, which we know isn't true, because it makes it seem like they should want to be here, but really we know that they were kidnapped from their homes and taken, right, against their will. James Henry Hammond talks about slavery being a necessity to the South. We'll understand why they believe that in a second. Joseph E. Brown is the Georgia governor. He is saying, talking about this aristocracy, which is like this hierarchy in the South, white slave owners on top, enslaved people on the bottom of this pyramid, right? This hierarchy. Stonewall Jackson neither apologized nor spoke in favor of the practice of slavery, but he believed and followed the rules of slavery because he believed that God had created slavery for a reason, right? He was deeply religious and everyone around him was saying it is God's will. So he wholeheartedly believed that, right? Which we know is false, okay? Oh my gosh, why is this not working? Okay. The first Grand Wizard of the KKK, the first leader of the KKK, is talking about how the whole motivation behind the Civil War was to fight for to keep slavery in the southern states. Okay. He also sold many of his slaves he had a slave jail in Memphis. He sold around 7,500 from 1854 to 1860, which would make him around $1 million of profit. Okay. So why is the South so dependent on slave labor? A lot of it has to do with the agricultural products that are coming from the South. At this point, we have 22 million people living in the North, only around 10 million in the South, okay? But the South is producing a lot of those agricultural products like cotton, tobacco, rice, and sugarcane that is transported around the country, okay? And it's not the slaveholders that are doing the farming, it's the enslaved people, okay, that they're buying. Here's a map of the products throughout the country, okay? In the South, we have cotton production, sugar, rice, a little bit of tobacco still in the South, okay, but a lot of the factories and manufacturing are located in the North, okay. The South economically is dependent on slavery. Here, to put it in perspective, the value of all the slaves in the South around this time is around $4 billion. Well, if you were to collect all of the gold and silver that was circulating back then, it would only be worth $228 million, okay? That's how much these people are worth to the South, okay? They're seen not as humans, but as machines to be replaced, right? And constantly, yeah, bought and sold. Here's that hierarchy where we have in the South, okay, at this time, white society is on top, enslaved people are on the bottom. So based on the sources we've seen so far, the southern states decided to leave. Why? And we see in all these sources, it's because they felt like it was their right to own slaves, okay? And we could say that is why the Civil War was caused, right? That is what caused the Civil War, was the southern states wanting to own slaves. Okay. So this is where we'll stop today. Okay. Make sure you're filling out your study guide. Make sure you are keeping up with your work, even if you're at home sick. I'll have more videos posted shortly later this week. Okay. I literally can't talk. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I'm a little all over the place.